Welcome to Cinema Savants, your weekly dose of movie news, movie reviews, and the occasional rumor. With your hosts, Todd Vandenberg and Rob Steele. And coming up in this week's show, a follow-up on Bryan Singer. Disney pulls a short... No, that's not what it sounds like. And a top 10 movie list that doesn't seem to know what movies are. But first, the big news of the week, at least in my house, and I suspect in a number of other houses around the planet. It was announced that J.J. Abrams' Star Trek universe might have a new director. And it's not somebody that people would typically associate with Star Trek, because it's Quenton Tarantino.
That was kind of big news.
That was kind of big news. I'm terrified by the concept. My wife came up with something brilliant. It was a beautiful quote that I wrote down. Hang on. Yeah, here we go. She said, ugh.
Yeah.
And I think that about sums it up for a lot of people. I mean, I know
I'm sure it does.
There's a huge audience that are going, an R-rated Star Trek movie. Great. There's going to be violence in it this time. I'm like, there's been violence before.
Yeah, there's always violence in Star Trek movies.
We've had limb removal. That counts. Although I suspect that at some point there's going to be a line from McCoy, well, he's really, 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 really dead, Jim. The studio, which this has thrown me off, has verified that it is going to, that if they actually get to this far, it's going to be the first R-rated Star Trek movie.
Yep.
Which is weird. Patrick Stewart popped up and said, I've always wanted to work for Quentin Tarantino, so Picard may be coming back.
And then that would be pretty interesting.
Which I was not expecting. I was thinking, if you're going to bring someone from that generation of Star Trek, bring Sisko, because he would fit better. I mean, he already punched Q in the face, which was one of my favorite scenes in DS9. But, you know, however you want to do, what do you think of this? I just think it's not a match that I would have come up with.
I think you are the most devoted DS9 fan in the world.
I might be.
I think that's a fact. Personally, I don't know. I can't say if I'd rather have Sisko show up than Picard, but it's pretty close to me. That would be pretty awesome. Have them both would be excellent, because they're probably both available. I like it. I'm intrigued by it. I mean, I'm curious to see, and that's the biggest thing. I'm kind of curious to see how Tarantino's sensibility fits with the Star Trek universe, because offhand, it don't. But I also can't imagine... Well, let me pull back on that. I was about to say, I can't imagine the producers would allow the franchise to go so badly off track. And then I remembered, oh yeah, Warner Brothers does things like that all the time. And yeah, this is Paramount, so thankfully they don't have to bear that. That's the other thing I was thinking about for later in the show. Thank you. Ta-da. Thank you for reminding me of that. Anyway, it's I'm excited about it. I'm not like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever, but Tarantino typically makes excellent movies, and they're not excellent movies because of the violence. They're excellent movies because of the direction, the pacing, the characterization. That's what I'm looking forward to. I don't really care if, I get to hear Spock say a curse word. It's like, I don't care about that. I really don't give a flip. And I can't say what I was going to say if it was a Tarantino version of Cinema Savants.
There we go.
But yeah, he makes great movies. So potentially this could be the best Star Trek movie ever, because he's a great director. Not everything he does is gold, but he's done some fantastic movies. So yeah, I'm all for it.
And I'm thinking you can't really have excuse me, the typical blood and gore that you get with a Tarantino movie, because a lot of the weapons are energy based.
Yeah.
So it's just going to, fry somebody's arm off or something instead of hack with blood spurt. You don't get that.
You can go back and kind of remake The Arena with Kirk fighting the big lizard guy, the Gorn.
The Gorn.
Yeah, so they could do that as part of it, and then you can get your decapitation. He can cut off the Gorn instead of making
a cannon out of wood.
yes, out of wood. And Captain,
oh, I'm sorry, spoiler.
Have you found saltpeter there? It's like, Spock, I'm not with a woman. Don't. Yeah. So anyway, I could definitely get into that. I mean, like I said, I'm not super hyped, but he's a great director, and I can see that it could work. It could also be awful and get canned 2 weeks into production because they realize this is not going to work. So
bad idea.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Just a Tarantino trivia. My favorite piece of Tarantino trivia, actually. Do you know where he made his first television acting appearance? Because, again, this is one of those places where you absolutely would not expect to find him.
Well, wait, I'm going to guess, because you said that, I'm going to guess Sesame Street.
You are off.
Okay, good. That would be horrifying for those kids.
It would. Although it's I'm not going to say it's the same genre because it isn't at all, but almost the opposite end of the same type of... Anyway, he played Elvis on an episode of The Golden Girls. Which...
Okay.
I mean, he didn't really have any lines. He was just in the background with a whole bunch of Elvises that accidentally got invited to a wedding. He's one of them. And they sing a short thing, and you kind of go, wait, that one in the back row, third from the left, that looks like Quentin Tarantino, because it is. Just a trivia thing to throw out. I would not have expected to find him there. I would have expected to find him less on Sesame Street, but, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty bizarre.
I thought so.
Playing Elvis?
Elvis, okay. I can see. But, yeah, Golden Girls, who knew? Let's see, in the other who knew category, Disney put Olaf's Frozen Adventure, Olaf being the snowman from Frozen, in front of the movie Coco, which came out. And there have been some really bizarre things said about this. No one has said that they hated the short, which is 21 minutes long. The main complaint they're getting is, I took my kid to see Coco, and they loved Coco, but 15 minutes into Olaf, they're going, where the hell is Coco? I didn't want to see the snowman.
Yeah.
Only in kid tone. So, very strange. They decided to pull Olaf's Frozen Adventure from the beginning of Coco, and now they can show it an extra time a day because, they're just you cut it out 3 times a day. There's an extra hour. Hey, we can show Coco one more time. More money for us.
Yep. I'm not quite sure what the hell they were thinking. I understand, let's throw Olaf in there because that guarantees box office, because some little kids are going to go, it's got Olaf. So the parents will be forced to drag them to see Coco, even though the kids may not even heard of Coco. That makes sense. I get it. But why 20 minutes? Why the hell didn't you just make like a typical 6 to 7 minute cartoon, which wouldn't have been that big a deal?
I mean, they did that with Roger Rabbit a few times.
That's just odd. I really don't understand what the hell they were doing with a 20-minute short, because at that point, a lot of the kids,
TV episode.
Yeah, and a lot of the kids who have come in that age bracket, exactly, they're going to be thinking, "Where's Coco? What's going on?" And they'll become bored because they came to see one thing, and I don't know. Not too sure about some of the moves that are being made these days, and Disney doesn't make many missteps, but that strikes me as
that was an odd one.
Particularly, as you said, it affected the running time. It cut down on the number of shows they could have a day. That really makes no damn sense.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think that would balance out against the draw of, this starts with Olaf. But were they advertising? Oh, by the way, this starts with a long Olaf cartoon. Not that I ever heard.
Not that I heard of either.
So, and again, they could have had the same effect and just make a 6-minute one. If many at all, which now they've cut completely. So.
I'm sure there was fluff. Weird. There was already snow, so...
Yeah, exactly. Odd decision. But at least they were smart enough to say, we're getting complaints, let's just cut it.
Speaking of getting cut, Bryan Singer disappeared a couple weeks ago while filming the Freddie Mercury biopic, Bohemian Rhapsody, starring Rami Malek, who he supposedly had an issue with. That's still kind of... I suspect that's going to end up being kind of like the Vin Diesel rock thing on Fast and Furious, where it's not really a deal. But, as opposed to Fast and Furious, Bryan Singer got fired. Now, there are some more details on this. Apparently, his production company, Bad Hat Harry, which is a very bad robot for J.J. Abrams, I get. Bad robot works. Bad Hat Harry is just... sounds like a bad 80s text video game.
No, I like Bad Hat Harry, because you know where it comes from.
No.
Comes from Jaws.
Oh.
Chief Brody looks at the guy and says, that's some bad hat, Harry.
Okay.
But it's still pretty bizarre, so...
It's still... I don't associate that immediately with Bryan Singer, just apart from the fact that it's the name of his company. Anyway, they had an office on the 20th Century Fox lot, and they left. And now, the concept behind this is Singer had a 3-year deal worked out with 20th Century Fox, or 21st, whichever time machine you happen to be using with Fox. Now, the deal actually expired in October and was not renewed, but he had agreed to finish Queen, and then whatever happened that we don't have details on happened. He disappeared, he got fired, and now Dexter Fletcher, Jessica's kid. I'm kidding.
Nice.
I made that up. He's been signed on to finish directing the movie, which only had, I think, 2 weeks or so left. So, not a whole lot left. You got any comments on Bryan Fisher? Bryan Fisher? I don't know where that came from. He's
the Fisher King.
There we go. Bryan Singer.
Just seems like one of... what are we up to now? We're probably up to like 3 or 4 male celebrities who are taking other career paths because they were doing bad things in the past.
They actually released a statement that said this has absolutely nothing to do with sexual allegations.
Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't. Whatever. Yeah, I don't really believe that. But then again, if he just decided not to show up, that would be kind of hard to keep him on the project, wouldn't it?
I would think.
Yeah. So kind of seems that he forced their hand one way or the other, as apparently he forced other things in the past, allegedly.
I have not heard allegations against him yet. Have you?
Yeah, let's see.
It's hard to keep up with all of them.
It is. I mean, we've had 3 members of Congress either resign or announce they're going to resign this week, which I read a blurb that said that's the biggest number of resignations from Congress since they were resigning over the issue of slavery. So, yeah, it's kind of beginning to be a big deal. His teenage ex-boyfriend sued him for rape. So, yeah, there's kind of some things going around about Bryan Singer.
There is a thing.
Yeah, there is a thing. And again, this is alleged, but anyway. Singer is, to me, aside from all the other stuff, it's kind of an interesting director because I think a lot of times he absolutely hits the mark. Like
Usual Suspects. Exactly,
like The Usual Suspects. But then again, we got some other things where maybe not the greatest.
Any of the X-Men movies?
Exactly. Well, not any of the X-Men movies, because I did think X-Men 2 was good. X-Men itself was a good start.
It wasn't. They're not bad movies. They're just not X-Men movies.
Right. And to me, the reason Superman Returns, which DC's movies had generally been so crappy that people forget how crappy Superman Returns was, is Bryan Singer decided he wanted to portray him as this angsty little whining person, and doesn't really work for that character. So yeah, he's got that hangs on him. He's got X-Men Apocalypse, which I have something else about X-Men Apocalypse later. So
I've got X-Men stuff later, so we'll just kind of put it all together.
He has some good films to his credit, but he has some utter pieces of crap to his credit too. So yeah, I'm not really exactly torn up about them saying goodbye to Bryan Singer at all.
I don't know that I've seen him do a biopic, and there's not a whole lot of people that I think in the entertainment industry deserve to have a biopic, but Freddie Mercury would actually be one of them.
Oh, absolutely.
So I've been looking forward to this because fan of Freddie Mercury. All right. So yeah, I was interested in this, and I'd like to see where would have liked to have seen.
Yeah, but
my conjugating skills this morning.
There are a lot of good directors out there, and I'm pretty sure they can find one. So
Quenton Tarantino is taking over. No.
That would be a different take.
Freddie Mercury Rising. No, that's just weird.
Yeah.
Speaking of just weird.
Yes.
One of the movies I think we both enjoyed earlier this year was Baby Driver.
Yes, indeed.
Which, despite the name, ended up being a good movie. I think it's a horrible name for a movie.
that name threw me off for quite a while until I saw the previews, and I thought, oh, okay, actually, it looks like it'd be pretty good. And that's a great movie.
On the heels of Boss Baby. And then you get Baby Driver, and you kind of go, are they sequel already? The other one just came out.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's supposed to be a sequel to Baby Driver. Now, spoiler alert, I thought Baby Driver ended nicely.
Indeed, I did too.
Just a, hey, we're done, and let the characters move on, or at least seem to. I don't know where you would go for a number 2, but they're fast tracking a sequel to Baby Driver. I don't. Did Baby Driver make that much money? I don't remember it being
for that kind of a movie. It made a lot of money. They were extremely happy with
226.9 in the U.S.,
which is
on a budget of 34.
Yeah, that's a heck of a lot of money. Plus, I don't think he'd ever had a film that grossed over 100. So this thing actually blew everything out that he had done before. So pretty awesome performance. So I can see why they want to see. Well,
I can see why they want a sequel, but I'm just trying to figure out how they would do one and have it make sense.
Maybe they would do a prequel with some other characters or another job he was on. I can see other ways they can go with it.
I can see.
Yeah, they would.
As long as they don't do what Highlander.
No.
Highlander was I thought a great movie that had an ending. And then they came out with Highlander 2, and all of a sudden, no, the characters are from another planet, and this, that, and the other, and there's this big space shield, and Michael Ironside driving a subway train through a wall. And what did that have to do with Scotland? And it just doesn't work. So I'm hoping they don't do that.
Yeah, Edgar Wright, the director, his previous high for box office, and this is worldwide. This takes in everything. Was Hot Fuzz, which made $80 million, which on the budget is fine,
Right.
But Baby Driver clearing 220. I can totally see why they said, hey, you know what? We need a sequel, and I can see them going with a sequel. Obviously, well, some characters may not appear in the sequel. Let's just put it that way.
Gee, could it be because of?
Yeah, could be.
So anyway, that was one of the movies we liked this year, and not this show, but next show we'll be doing I guess our top 10 or whatever movies of the year.
Yeah.
But there was a list that came out this week from who was it? The British Film Institute's Sight and Sound Critics list of the best films of the year, and one of them makes remarkably little sense. I'm just going through the top 10. I guess tied at 9 would be Dunkirk and The Florida Project, which I know one of those, and it's not Florida. Loveless at 8, Good Time at 7, which we were discussing earlier. That's the one with JJ and lots of dynamite, right?
Yes, it is.
Number 6, Faces Places. Number 5, Western. Number 4, Zama. Number 3, Call Me By Your Name, which just sounds like an odd thing. I'm skipping number 2 for a minute. Number 1 was Get Out, which I think is kind of surprising because you don't normally find a horror movie at the top of a list of this stature, because this is the British Film Institute. That's a big thing. And you'd think they'd know what a movie was, but number 2 on the list was Twin Peaks: The Return, which, now correct me if I'm wrong, that's a TV show. What is that? What is that doing on a list of top movies?
That's a TV show.
Okay, I was fairly certain. I'm not a Twin Peaks fan. I was aware it came out. I paid very little attention to it, but here it is on a movie list.
I like the original. Yeah, I like the original series. I haven't seen The Return. I understand it's really good, but this is a list of the best films. So yeah, I'm not quite sure why you would have a TV series there. Doesn't seem like that would belong. And of all the TV series, really, was that the best TV series?
One of these things
that seems
is not like the other. You mentioned Sesame Street. Now that's running through my head.
Getting where they're getting them. Yeah.
It was
I did it to you. I'm happy.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Maybe it got a theatrical release in Great Britain because Sight and Sound is a British publication, and these were British critics. So if you think this is
but that was a mini-series released in a theater. So you come to the theater on an 8-hour presentation of Twin Peaks. That would just be,
exactly.
Of it.
Or maybe you had to come. Maybe it's like an old Saturday morning serial, and you had to come every Saturday.
Like Frosted
Flakes.
Flakes.
I don't understand that at all. Very odd.
I don't get that.
Anyway, we will have our own list, and it will make it. It might be awful, but it will make more sense. I don't think we'll put in like
it will to us
TV shows or podcasts.
We could put podcasts in it. Other movie news, and this one makes almost more sense.
There's an interesting podcast coming up, by the way, too.
Uh-oh. Go ahead. What interesting podcast do we have coming up?
Are you sure it does?
Sure.
No. We'll come back to it because it's going to flow with other things we're talking about. Yes, possible.
Well, as long as it flows with other things.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure this is going to flow, although it might flow. I don't know. They're making a live-action Pokemon movie based on the video game Detective Pikachu, where apparently Pikachu gets a deerstalker cap, a magnifying glass, and goes and solves mysteries. Now, in the game, unlike other Pokemon games, the Pikachu actually speaks in this, which means we're going to need a voice actor for Pikachu. And they signed one this week. Deadpool himself, Ryan Reynolds, is going to be voicing Pikachu. Did that strike you as odd? That struck me as odd. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not saying it won't make sense.
That struck me as odd.
Sound right. It's just
that does.
Quenton Tarantino and Star Trek. What? Ryan Reynolds and Pikachu. Wait, it's just a week for weird things.
Yeah. Well,
and it's a big week for Pokemon. Pokemon Go had Gen 3 drop yesterday, in case you're... but that's off subject.
I heard about that. How many new characters?
I think it's 100.
I heard anywhere from 80 to 200. So
no, it's not 200. It's 100.
Somewhere in the ballpark.
Ballparks are good. I think I mentioned ball players earlier in the show. Anyway, speaking of Deadpool, let's just migrate over to the XMen news, where we find that they've screwed up another XMen movie.
Indeed.
X-Men Dark Phoenix, they announced this week that Jessica Chastain's character in the movie
like that.
Is going to be a shapeshifter of some kind, which makes everyone believe, so far, the people who speculate on this kind of thing have said, she's going to be the Skrull Queen. Now, the Skrulls are a race of people in the Marvel Universe that are shapeshifters, and you know what? If she wants to be the Skrull Queen, that's fine, go right ahead, except this is the Dark Phoenix storyline, which does not include the Skrull Queen. Thus being my issue with this.
Yeah, well, sounds like it's going to now.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's going to now, if that's accurate.
If it's accurate.
Personally, unless she spends most of her time in her normal form, I don't really want to see her play a shapeshifter, because I'd rather see Jessica Chastain act instead of CGI stuff. So, or some other actor, and supposedly, you know what I'm saying. I don't want to see half of her screen time gone because, oh, look, somebody else is playing the role because now she's changed. I don't have a whole lot of faith in the X-Men movies. This actually came out of, I think, within the past week. The writer of X-Men Apocalypse, Simon Kinberg, and as we were just talking about, that was pretty much of a crappy movie. Thank you, Bryan Singer. Well, the writer had a lot to do with it also, obviously. He was quoted as saying, "I think we took our eye off what has always been the bedrock of the franchise, which is these characters. It became about global destruction and visual effects over emotion and character." You're a screenwriter. Did it not occur to you, moron, that you have to have some kind of character development going on in a film? Holy crap. Here's the good news. Here's the best news. This is the guy who's directing the Dark Phoenix movie.
Oh,
so goody. Yeah. So he screwed up badly.
Twice.
Badly screwed up what should have been the best X-Men movie, because that's the big bad in the X-Men universe. Yeah. And
X-Men Alpacalypse.
It's like, dude, really? Haven't you done enough to punish the franchise? Disney cannot buy Fox fast enough, which that's back on again possible. Yeah. So,
which is going to make things interesting for the any future New Mutants movies.
It amazes me that these people have jobs.
We'll take them.
Yes, it does.
Let us do
it. And speaking of people having jobs, that it's amazing.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we'll take them. John Berg, who was put in place after the disaster of Batman v Superman, he was named as co-president and co-chair of the newly created DC films because they screwed the pooch when they made Batman v Superman.
Uh-huh.
Well, now he's out because he screwed the pooch with Justice League. So he had one job, dude. One job. Literally he had one job. And now he's producing with somebody else at the studio because they said you screwed this up. What surprises me is Jeff Johns is the other co-chair and president.
He does a good job with the books.
You know a little bit about comic books, obviously, Mr. Johns being...
The animated movies.
He does.
Good with those.
He's a terrific person in the books.
Yes.
But I don't understand, how can you not get it? Unless he was overruled, because that's the only way or maybe they drugged him for the entire time they were producing Justice League, because
I suspect he was overruled.
It really didn't look like it had much input from someone who knows the comics. Yeah, because I can't imagine that he would go. And again, the movie's okay, but compared to the expectations, compared to what it could have been, compared to what they've done so many times in the animated division, it's compared to those movies, it's a freaking disaster. That's what's upsetting about it. Is like, this could have been a great movie. Instead, it's like, that was fun, and it's gone just like that. Steppenwolf had about as much impact as Apocalypse did in the X-Men movie, which is 0. They're big CGI guys. Ooh, scary. They're going to destroy the world. Ooh, scary. And you know it's not going to happen. So, all right, we're done.
How hard was that?
Jesus.
I actually have news about him,
yes,
but we'll get to that in a minute.
I wish Jesus would step in and take them with him.
We'll get back to Jesus after these important messages. Back to the X-Men real quick. Real quick thing. They had a cast picture of the New Mutants movie, which is supposed to be coming out, I think, in like April or something, even though there's not much of a trailer out. The cast pic shows, and I'm fairly certain it's the person playing Magic. That's the character. Holding a stuffed Lockheed the Dragon. So we're finally getting Lockheed on the big screen, even if it is just a stuffed version. Meanwhile, back to the Justice League thing. Batfleck is talking about leaving again. And the big news last week was that they wanted to get Jake Gyllenhaal to come in and play Batman. And we have yet to hear what Jake thinks about this. However, there's another actor who has popped up named Jon Hamm, who is actively beating on Warner Brothers' door saying, please let me play Batman. What do you think about Jon Hamm?
Is he really?
Yeah. He's. I
would personally love that.
I think it would work.
I would freaking love Jon Hamm as Batman.
It fits better than Jake Gyllenhaal.
If you haven't seen Mad Men, Just watch any episode of Mad Men, and the guy is Bruce Wayne, basically like he lost his fortune and now he's in advertising. But yeah, he's Bruce totally, and he's fit enough. He certainly can play Batman as opposed to Bruce Wayne, especially the somewhat older version of Batman, which is what we hopefully are doing. Who knows what the hell Warner they could have being Bat Boy at this point. They're so disjointed with how their shows are going, but I think that would be fantastic. I would love to see Jon Hamm play Batman. He's a terrific actor. If you don't think so, watch Baby Driver. He's one of the many fine points of that movie. So that makes me really, really thrilled for what we hope is this current version of Batman. I think that would be pretty cool. All that being said, I would rather they just stay with Affleck because I think he does an excellent job.
I think Affleck has been
considering what he's given to work with. But if you're going to change. Yeah, definitely. And of course, what they really need to do, and there was an article about this talking about how, this is how they could wrap up Ben Affleck's characterization of Batman with Flashpoint Paradox if they actually go through with that. Who knows what they're going to do. But That would be a perfect time for Affleck to go out as that character just because of the plot. And next one comes around, look, there's Jon Hamm. So we'll see. It's probably not going to happen, though. We can't
do it like a Doctor Who regeneration.
Seems like other than Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Other person who is supposed to be pursuing a DCEU role, and this is one we talked about last week. Nick Jonas wants to be Nightwing. Now, he's supposed to be one of the Jonas brothers. Yeah, that's what I said originally too. Dick Grayson, when he becomes Nightwing, is supposed to be early 20s, and I'm fairly certain Nick Jonas passed that some time ago. So hopefully they're not taking that too seriously. It's kind of like crap. Who did they get to play Robin in those two movies?
He's 25.
Okay, considerably younger than I was giving him credit for being. It just seems like he's been in the public eye for 5,000 years, I think, at this point. Chris O'Donnell. No relation to Rosie that I know of.
Chris. Yeah, there you go, Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah, he was too old to play Robin. I'm not saying he's a bad actor. I'm not saying he didn't do a good job with what he was given. But
yeah. Right.
Did not work. Not for me.
Well, Nick Jonas does have considerable acting experience. It's almost all videos, but no, it didn't work. And no, not unless Nick Jonas actually is a really good actor. And I have no idea if he's not, because I'm not going to even try to find out. He is in Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. So maybe he can do something, but no. Really don't want Nick Jonas to play that role.
No, I'm done with that.
That's kind of the antithesis of the, Jon Hamm wants to be Batman. I don't want to see Jon Hamm and Nick Jonas. No, thanks. That would kind of negate all the goodness.
John Jonas and Nick.
One last bit of X-Men news, though.
Oh, yes.
Have you heard that Wolverine is coming back?
Oh, no.
Yeah, there we go. Wolverine is coming back.
Hugh Jackman said he's retired with that character.
Yep, they are.
He's playing.
It's just going to be a podcast. It is because of the popularity of podcasts like Serial. He ain't doing nothing. He has nothing to do with it. It's just strictly a podcast, and it'll be coming out. It's called Wolverine: The Long Night.
Oh yes.
So because they feel that podcasts are the new market, so there we go. So Wolverine will have another story coming out, and it will be coming sometime next year. So a podcast, Wolverine: The Long Night. You can look forward to that. Will not have Nick Jonas in it,
which is good.
Quite sure of that.
Other things that are coming out: Blade Runner 2049 will be available for digital download the day after Christmas. Because why would you want to give that as a present? I don't understand why things are going to be released the day after Christmas.
The day after Christmas.
The discs themselves will not be available until the 16th of January.
Yeah, considering it didn't make nearly enough money.
Put it out the week before, and you'll just get enough people.
You would think that they would say, "Hey, you know what? Yeah, let's put it out there during the biggest shopping week of the year." It's like, nah, let's wait until after that, until everyone's spent all their money. So no one has any money to buy this movie. That kind of sounds like self-sabotage.
No one wanted it in the first place, I don't think. But
not a really brilliant plan.
You mentioned Jesus Christ earlier.
Very weird.
It kind of goes along with, it goes with the Christmas thing. And this is just the names that should not be associated with other names episode. That's what this is, because Andrew Lloyd Webber's wonderful musical. Sorry, that was not sarcasm. It was just an actual cough. Jesus Christ Superstars, the next of the NBC live musical things they're doing. And I have heard only one bit of casting from it, and that would be the person playing King Herod. Because when I think Jesus Christ Superstar, I almost immediately think Alice Cooper. Which, that just doesn't fit for me. Even if, I know King Herod is the bad guy in the story. Alice Cooper in anything related to Jesus just doesn't fit for me. So I'm expecting them to cast who's going to be playing Jesus. That would be Ozzy Osbourne. Just an odd bit of casting on NBC's part, and it could work. Because I know when we heard about Beetlejuice the first time, and Beetlejuice playing Batman. I know it's Michael Keaton. But we all heard Michael Keaton and went, oh, he's Beetlejuice and he's playing Batman? That'll never work. But it did. And I suppose this could work. It's just one of those things when you hear it initially, you go,
Indeed
what?
It did.
Really? Very weird.
No, it can't work. That's impossible.
It can.
Yeah, that kind of goes into the super weird category. Weird category.
Peanut butter and chocolate weird.
We haven't mentioned a big movie that's coming out on the 15th.
Uh-oh.
Ooh. They do go together. But
okay.
These other things don't really seem to work. Star Wars, and it's not like Star Wars is in any kind of danger, but there've been a couple polls that came out just talking about who the favorite characters are. And again, it's not like people are going to go, oh, I don't like that character, I'm not going to go. But it is kind of odd because one of the polls, actually both polls, showed that Jar Jar Binks is no longer the most hated character in the Star Wars universe. But they had two different winners, both from the new version of Star Wars.
Is it Reflective Stormtrooper Woman?
Placing is the least liked character. Yeah, should be. Supreme Commander Snoke was the least liked character, which I guess is a big distinction because it was least liked. It wasn't hated. It was least liked. Less liked than Jar Jar, beating Jar Jar. Another poll actually polled about most hated, which of course that's different from least liked because the other one was like, who's the most popular character? And General Leia won that particular contest. You had to go all the way down to 13th place to find a new character, and that was Finn. So he's the 13th most liked character in the Star Wars universe. All the others came from the original trilogy. In the other poll, where they asked for the most hated, again, Jar Jar is not the most hated. What's not really great news is Kylo Ren is the winner. And I can totally see that because we've talked about Kylo Ren and the problems with the characterization. Yeah.
That's surprising, though.
I get it because Kylo Ren is... Does Kylo Ren strike fear into you like Darth Vader did?
Absolutely not.
At all. Darth Vader in I believe he was placed second in American Film Institute's poll of all-time best villains. He was either second or first. And Kylo Ren, he's a blip. And I get perhaps the idea is, well, Luke Skywalker started out a completely different character than he did later in the films he developed. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. But it really doesn't work when you're trying to establish him as the big bad from the start. They weren't establishing Luke Skywalker as, oh, he's a fantastic Jedi. They clearly said he was basically no better than a nerf herder in the first film. He was very clearly the young apprentice who didn't know Jack, and
right.
Doesn't really work for Kylo Ren at all to me. Now, hopefully they'll fix that in the next one. And there's also a lot of talk about the fact that, we hope it doesn't parallel The Empire Strikes Back too much. If it is, I'm going to be really disappointed, because The Force Awakens was basically a retread of the first Star Wars flick. And it was good, but I'd kind of seen it before. It's just with new characters. And as much as I love Empire Strikes Back, I really don't want to see the same movie again.
Well, it worries me
really
a bit.
Pissed if that's basically what they've done. And there's a lot of talk because, it's darker in tone and blah, blah, blah. And
we've already seen an ice planet in the trailers?
It worries you a bit?
Yeah, not a good thing.
Yeah. This is supposed to take place across the universe. It's like, can we not have different storylines, please? And Rogue One thankfully, was a different storyline, but there are other ways to go dark than follow the same plot. And again, this is just speculation based on trailers and buzz. But so I really hope they go in a different direction. But let's not have Kylo and Rey be brother and sister. Just stop with this stuff, okay? Please don't do this. Oh, my God. Don't consistently remake the same damn movies. I don't really care that, they're going to launch another trilogy, unless they have absolutely nothing to do with any previous characters. They've talked about, the Skywalkers will be out of it. Good. Everybody needs to be out of it. No relationship whatsoever to any of these characters at all.
That would be
something
nice.
Fresh. Because,
change.
If this is another retread, I'm going to be highly disappointed. Yeah, I mean, how many books have been written?
I had 127.
Easily? I think you have some characters you can deal with.
Hello?
So, there's probably some material they can work off without remaking the same damn thing. And hopefully, they don't. Hopefully, it's just a shift in tone, just like Empire was, and the similarities in there. I'd be very happy if they do that.
A pleasant surprise, I believe. Something that came out this week.
Indeed.
That some people are considering a pleasant surprise. I'm not real sure what to make of it. Is the long-awaited James Cameron, Robert Rodriguez trailer for Alita, Battle Angel, which was a very popular graphic novel series. It's a very popular anime series. And I've seen the trailer that they made for this particular movie, and it looks like it's going to be interesting. It has to do with finding a cybernetic woman who's, these hands, they're not human hands, they're mechanical things. And it looks like it's going to be an interesting movie, except for one thing that has thrown me off and made me not want to see it, actually. Anime has a particular style with the eyes, and they have tried to put anime eyes on this live-action girl, Rosa Salazar, and it does not. It looks, those really bizarre filters they have on your phone now, where you take a picture and it gives me doe eyes and doe ears and puppy dog nose. It looks like someone has one of those filters on her through the entire trailer, and I don't like that. Now, if you want to augment her eyes, that's fine, but
it's kind of odd.
I don't like the look. It makes it look... We've complained before about bad CG, and that's what this looks like, only they did it on purpose.
Right.
And that's absolutely unnecessary. Don't do that.
Superman mustache. Maybe she has unnaturally large eyes. I'm
looking at a picture of her that's not in this movie, and no, she doesn't.
That'd be rather costly, it would seem.
I would think. So...
Seems that would be kind of a costly process. No, she doesn't.
I'll admit, I'm not familiar with...
because otherwise you'd look a really weird lady.
I'm not familiar with the story, so maybe that's actually something that goes with the story, and her eyes are supposed to be unnaturally large. That's a possibility. I don't know. But you could have explained that in the trailer so we don't go, okay, ew, screwed that up. Because that's what it looks like, is that they screwed up a special effect. Maybe that's just me.
That does look pretty weird. It does indeed look weird, but it does have it's Christoph Waltz in it, so there's a plus.
Yeah.
As well as Robert Rodriguez directing, because excellent. I look forward to the weirdness of the lady with the huge eyes and the funky hands.
How about looking forward to Isle of Dogs? You looking forward to this? Which is it looks like it could be from the same people who brought us Kubo, which was, both of us loved Kubo last year. That was, I think, our unanimous favorite movie of last year. I don't think Isle of Dogs is going to do it, but the cast for that movie is enormous.
It's actually Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
It is indeed. Yeah, Wes Anderson directed The Fantastic Mr. Fox, and he's the one doing Isle of Dogs.
So it doesn't look quite as smooth as Kubo did, but it looks like it's going to be actually an interesting storyline of, what is it? The dog population has grown out of hand, and then there was dog flu, so all dogs have been banished to an island, and our main character has decided to go get his dog back. Okay. But the cast, exactly. I'm going to read this off here. Of the names, and there's more in the trailer that they showed. These are just the names that I recognized and went, holy crap, this person's in it. We've got Ed Norton, Bill Murray, Bryan Cranston, Jeff Goldblum, Liev Schreiber, Courtney B. Vance, Tilda Swinton, F. Murray Abraham, Scarlett Johansson, Frances McDormand, Ken Watanabe, Harvey Keitel, and crossword puzzle answer extraordinaire Yoko Ono. That's an enormous cast of people that we all go, hey, I know who that is. What is the Yoko Ono thing?
Did you mention Bryan Cranston?
I mentioned Bryan Cranston.
Because he's in it.
Yep.
And Harvey Keitel. F. Murray Abraham. I'm just curious how many Oscar and Tony and Emmy Award winners are in that cast, but there must be like 50 awards total in that. I mean, that's just crazy. Interesting. I mean, the trailer looks great. I think it looks really, really cool. But the fact that they assembled this cast, they must have done it because they wanted to get a free copy for their kids, because I don't know how you could afford that cast otherwise. I mean, good Lord. I mean, seriously, they must have all done it for a percentage, or they just thought, hey, this is a fun project, or maybe they just had a big party afterwards. I don't know, but I really don't know how you get a cast like that assembled to do something. That's very, very cool.
I'm wondering how many.
And the lead characters, the 4 lead dogs, Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Jeff Goldblum, and Bill Murray apparently are the 4 leads, from what I can tell from the trailer. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, maybe some are in there just for one little spot here or there, but still, good Lord, that cast is amazing.
And yeah, and there are more names. I just don't necessarily recognize. Bob Balaban. I don't know who that is, but he's in it too. Made the list. So,
Bob Balaban.
Good movie. I don't have a date for it yet, though. But soon. Coming next year. Something to look forward to.
Sometime in 2018.
Oh, hang on a minute. Here's a date. March 23rd.
Fairly early. Yeah, if you watched The Fantastic Mr. Fox and enjoyed it, you will definitely want to watch Isle of Dogs.
And unfortunately, that has brought me to the end of anything I've come up with this week. Hast thou more stuff? Because
since we won't be back before Christmas. Yeah,
that is true.
We won't be back before Christmas, so make sure you watch your Christmas movies. If you're going to watch A Christmas Carol, watch the one with George C. Scott. That is by far the superior version. It's actually filmed in the neighborhoods of London where the story takes place, which is pretty cool. And, of course, for an antidote, then you can watch Bad Santa. So you're covered.
And remember, it's not Christmas until you see the Nakatomi Tower explode. Because, Die Hard, I still think, is the best Christmas movie ever. So
Indeed.
So happy holidays, everyone.
Indeed.
And we'll see you the week after Christmas.
Do you think they would let me live in Montana?
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said, I drank what?
Man, we have a weird job.
It's shameful, but it's a living.
Darn, that's the end. End.